Let's look at these other questions. Would you suggest founders send a tech deck and a projection cost Excel alongside the pitch deck to investors? And would it be wise, and why, and what slides in a pitch deck? Compound question. Would you send your technical deck and projection? We need to talk about the few tools that we've got here. If you've got a pitch deck, you're going to have a master deck, and then you're going to have the different types of decks for different investors. So you've got your screener introductory deck. You might have your socialization deck, the one that you present live, deck that talks to investors in terms of different types of investors, maybe friends, family, associates, unsophisticated ones, and then maybe you're presenting a VC, you have a different investor, who knows? And then you'll have your technical deck, and it's great. Technical deck is heavy on the tech. That's an investor or someone doing due diligence that understands the technical side and needs to look at it. Great. Say you're doing blockchain or AI and you've got some technical people going to evaluate. Sure. Technical deck. Should you send financials? By rule of thumb, depends on what stage you are. Financials are always going to come up. Don't worry about it. They will always come up. But should you send financials in the beginning? No. Unless you've got clear financial data that you can show. And even that, financials aren't important because you can just show a traction graph. You can just say, I made money. If you've already made money and you've already had, let's say, 3, 6, 12 months of financials, then put them in the summary and just have a graph every month. We've made this amount. Here's our profitability, etc. You're going to be done because the financials will come up during due diligence. If you don't have financials, you don't have any financial operating history, you are pre-revenue, then don't send your financials. And I talk about this a lot of times. Just record a video, but I'm going to repeat what I said in these other videos. Check out my other YouTube channel, EdGang99, if you want to hear about more about what I send to investors. But the reason I say, let me give you the brief summary, is we all expect your financials to be pie in the sky and for you not to be accurate at all. That's what investors think about. And investors automatically know financials are always going to go up and to the right because you can model it anyway. But how do you know? If you have no operating history, you've got nothing to base your financials on. We just gloss over and say, you're probably wrong on the first one. 99.9% of the time, you're wrong. I've never made a financial projection that I've been able to hit. I've either blown it away or I've been totally out to lunch because I experiment. Now, getting a financial model in place, that's very important. We've got financial advisors all over the place, and we've got people who help founders with their financials, not financial advisors, not investor money, anything like that, but we've got people who are familiar with how to set up financials and to show that you understand what you're going to do. If you understand your unit economics, your customer acquisition costs, those are things you want to put in there, and you can put those in different slides. Financials, we're just going to ignore. That's really what it boils down to. So don't send the financials. Do you need the financials? Yes, you're going to need financials, or you're going to need to be able to share that you've done a financial model during due diligence. And they're going to ask you that because they need to crunch their own numbers, and they're going to ask, how much do you think it costs to get a customer? What's your lifetime value? And what's your churn going to be? And we're going to run all that number through our own metrics, our own rubrics is what investors do to determine if it's going to make sense. Case in point, I've had a founder who went and got a meeting with a prominent VC. They're doing $4 million a year. $4 million. Fantastic company. Kudos to this founder. The investor crunched the numbers and said, let's do some due diligence and let's take a look at whether we can make our money back. And they came back with a response saying, we can't see where we're going to 5 to 15x our money doing all the financials. And that's the reality of it. Even though the business was doing 4 million, the unit economics were off and they just couldn't see how they were going to get there. And that's the reality. That's why you need to know your financials. You need to know all the details, know your numbers inside out. So when investors poke holes in it and says, what's happening here? And you can say, well, if I make my projections or if we do this, I've got contingencies depending on my unit economics, manufacturing costs, cost of goods sold, everything. You understand that you are going to need it, but don't send it up front. I don't think you need to muddy the waters. Just get them the pitch deck and get them that front part so that they understand who you are, what you're going to do, how you're different, problem solution, market size, all that stuff. And then they'll ask you for your financial. Appreciate you asking that question.